Warm greetings from the High 10. It's Everyday Shenanigans. Happy Friday to all of you. Hope you all have a safe weekend. Get out, enjoy fresh air, games. Tennessee Vols will be playing tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to indulging in a healthy game of football tomorrow. This live is a two-part live pertaining to two abused teens that derived out of Louisiana and made their way to Cypress, Texas with their biological mother and her boyfriend. And I'm going to bring you some very disturbing details pertaining to what was done to the children. The second part of this live is pertaining to a Caucasian family missing out of Michigan. It's the Cirigliano family. If you've seen them, heard from them, seen their van traveling down highway, anywhere, please notify authorities. They are missing. A mother, father, and two autistic sons are missing. Thank you for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans.
The horrible case where two teens escaped after allegedly being held, abused, and captive by their mother and her boyfriend.
Both were arrested in Louisiana after an Amber Alert was issued on Tuesday. Again, we want to warn you, the images and details in this story are graphic. Anieli Ruiz has been following the case. Anieli, what did you learn today?
Well, guys, these documents shed more light into the abuse the teens were facing. The mother was charged with aggravated assault to a family member and aggravated assault here in Texas. The boyfriend charged with continuous violence against the family. The twins were not only allegedly beaten, but they were also forced to eat their own waste and even drugged. Two traumatized teens begging neighbors for help.
We just need someone to be right now.
Where documents reveal how the abused twins were able to escape from their mother and boyfriend's home early Tuesday morning. Documents state the boy found the key inside his mother's purse. He hid the key in his mouth until his mother and her boyfriend were asleep. That's how they were able to knock on neighbors' doors for help. One mother finally let them in and called police.
They literally were running for their lives. I mean, they knew that if they stayed there, what was going to happen was done.
And thanks to this neighbor, investigators were able to unravel the horrible abuse the teens had endured since at least July. According to court documents, the teens said their mother would strike them with an extension cords, curtain rods, and metal poles. The records say the boy told deputies his mom's boyfriend punched his hand last week. Injuries neighbors say were visible.
Their skin, the little kid had scratches and scabs and bruises all down his arm, down the back of his body.
Documents state the mother would make them drink chemicals such as bleach, Lysol, and would spray Easy Off oven cleaner in their mouths if they talked too much, and say she would pour bleach on them, causing their skin to burn, including in their genital area. The girl told investigators that her brother defecated and their mother made them both eat it and drink his urine.
Don't understand how a mother can do this to her kids.
And court documents also state the teens were both given Benadryl. The boy said he was given 24 tablets, which caused him to have a seizure. After he had a seizure, he says, he was only given 20 tablets to go to sleep. The girl said she was also given Benadryl to go to sleep.
And I have no doubt that these kids would have not made it to life if they had not escaped, because they were literally skin on bones.
Well, the kid's mother and her boyfriend had a court hearing this morning in Louisiana. Texas has 30 days to extradite them. Now we're waiting to hear from officials to see when this will happen. We know the twins are recovering in the hospital here. The other 5 kids are in the care of Louisiana CPS. Anieli Ruiz, KHOU 11 News.
All right, everybody, that's the sad information. Thank you all so much for joining me. If you need verification for that information, KHOU 11 is the source. It is also posted to my community board. Thank you all so much for joining me. I'm going to give you more details pertaining to these children and what they have endured. Prayers for all 7 children, as you heard. The remaining children are in foster care. We're going to chop all that up here briefly. This is a 2-part live. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $DeGanji, 129 Cash App. All stickers and chats are welcome during the live. KHOU 11 is the source. Court documents. Cypress twins say they were forced to drink bleach, burned, beaten with curtain rods. 16-year-old victims told investigators her mother drugged them. Boy had a seizure after being given 24 Benadryl tablets. Warning, what I'm about to read is disturbing content. Feel free to check yourself out of this live and come back a little bit later. Thank you so much for joining me. The Cypress twins, who escaped from their home this week, shared unimaginable stories of the torture they endured allegedly at the hands of their own mother and her boyfriend. Zykia Duncan, 40, Jova Terrell, 27, were arrested in Baton Rouge Tuesday. She's charged with injury to a child and aggravated assault in Harris County. He's charged with continuous violence against a family member. The torture. In charging documents obtained by KHOU 11, the 16-year-old boy and girl were questioned by investigators at Texas Children's Hospital. They described several examples of the horrific abuse that they said took place behind closed doors of the large home on Marina Alto Lane. The boy said Duncan once gave him 24 Benadryl tablets to make him sleep, and they caused him to have a seizure. After that, he said she lowered the dosage to 20 tablets. The girl was also given an unspecified amount of Benadryl. The victims said their mother poured bleach down their throats and on their genitals until it burned their skin. She also made them drink cleaners like Lysol, Easy Off, if they talked too much. They told the corporal they weren't allowed to use the restroom and were forced to defecate and urinate on themselves and then eat and drink it. They only had dirty water from a mop bucket to wash off. They said their mother beat them with extension cords, curtain rods, other metal poles, and Terrell often punched the boy. The victims told the corporal they were starved and fed only mustard sandwiches, relish sandwiches, or bologna sandwiches 1 to 3 times a week. Investigators said the twins were severely malnourished. They were kept naked and handcuffed to a dolly in the laundry room, and their feet were often zip-tied. Both have cuts, bruises, scars on their wrists and ankles, along with other parts of their bodies, court documents said. When you see it in person, it just hits on a different level. It's so sad. It's a flood of emotions, a woman who took them in said. You just don't understand how little innocent kids go through this. Houston Children's Assessment Center psychologist Dr. Whitney Crossan said that children who suffer this kind of abuse can recover with proper help. Oftentimes we think there's no way they can get through all of this, but children are so much more resilient than we give them credit for, and I will agree with that. Really, what they need is ongoing and consistent support, and most definitely love. I'm going to say that. To report abuse, call the Texas Abuse Hotline at 1-800-252-5400. They are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. How they escaped. The boy said he found the handcuff key in his mother's purse and hid it in his mouth. Around 5 a.m. Tuesday, they unlocked the handcuffs and ran door to door through the neighborhood, pleading for help, court documents say. The boy was shirtless and the girl was using a grocery bag for a shirt. Wow. Both were barefoot and shivering when a woman in a nearby subdivision answered her door, even though she said she was terrified. They said, "Can you help us? Can you help us?" the woman said. They were so skinny and so frail. They just looked like they had been through a lot. She wrapped them in blankets and fed them and said both were very polite, even as they began describing some of the abuse. The more I asked and realized how severe the situation was, it was just a flood of emotions that came over me, she told KHOU reporter Ana Yili Ruiz. How a mother could do this to her kids, and I feel like my tears are out of frustration, anger, and sadness. The Good Samaritan then called the Precinct 5 constable's office. The teens were taken to Texas Children's Hospital in Katy, and deputies were sent to their home to investigate. By then, Duncan, Terrell, and 5 younger boys, ages 8 to 14, were gone, and an Amber Alert was issued. Hours later, Zykia Duncan, 40, Jova Terrell, 27, were arrested in Baton Rouge. Only one child was with the couple when they were arrested. The other 4 boys were later found safe with relatives in Louisiana. All 7 children were placed in Child Protective Service custody, according to authorities. The twins who escaped told investigators their 12-year-old twin brothers were also abused and forced to stay in a restroom. History of abuse. It's not the first time Duncan has been arrested and charged in connection with child abuse. According to Louisiana court documents from 10 years ago, a then 5-year-old child of Duncan's was taken from school. to a local hospital to be treated for burns to his feet, genitals, and other parts of his body. Doctors determined it was likely the result of being burned by hot water. The boy also had bruises on his torso, back, hip, and buttocks. According to the documents, when police went to Duncan's home, they found a 20-month-old child wrapped. One second, kind of jumped off there. Let's see, where was I? The 20-month-old was wrapped in clothing with his hands bound. The only person in the home was the child's 4-year-old brother, according to the documents. Wow, nobody's even there with the children. During questioning, police said Duncan admitted to routinely disciplining one child by making him get into a push-up position for up to an hour, causing the child's hands to swell. The child was also forced to sleep on the closet floor, court documents said. The door of the closet was blocked by boards to keep the child from escaping and stealing food from the kitchen, court records said. 1 minute. Oh. Okay. Lord have mercy. Police reported at the time that 2 of Duncan's other children also showed signs of abuse and were removed from the home. They said Duncan admitted she had been investigated for abuse of the children in the past. She was charged with cruelty to juveniles. It's not clear how long Duncan and her current boyfriend had lived in a house on Marina Alto Lane near the intersection of West Road and Fry Road. The teen said they had moved there recently. And I brought you content yesterday that they had only been there a week and a half via a source. KHOU 11 is the source. So that's my second source pertaining to this horrific tale of abuse that's been going on for some time. Bleach, Lysol in the mouth of the children, making the children eat their own fecal matter and urine, making them bathe with dirty mop water, locking them in the utility closet, tied to a dolly. Why? Boyfriend punching the boy child. How often was he punching the child? We don't even need to ask how long the abuse has been going on because she has the same set of children, allegedly. So these children are possibly the ones that got the ball rolling for her to get arrested many years ago, 10 years ago. So the children have been abused most of their lives. Now one is going to sit here and wonder, what the hell was she doing to them when they were infants? When she gave birth to them? Because, eventually you have to take your child to the doctor. You have to take your child to the doctor. But when you're dealing with this type of heathen, she possibly had 1,001 excuses not to make any type of doctor's appointments, even if the doctors were reaching out to say, hey, you need to bring your baby in, got to bring your toddler in. And we know that you have to get immunizations in order to go to school. So how long were the children out of her custody in the beginning? When they were younger, when they got taken away. First time DHS in Louisiana intervened into this story. Why did you give them back to her? Why did you give those children back to her? I'm going to bring you a little more information because each news outlet will have different information pertaining to the storyline. The next storyline set of information is by The Guardian. I'm just going to kind of skim through to bring you something that wasn't mentioned in the last article. Thank you so much for joining me. The accused mother, Zakia Duncan, and her boyfriend, Jova Terrell, faces charges of injury to a child, which in some cases can carry a minimum of 5 years in prison. The couple appeared in a Baton Rouge courtroom on Thursday and said they would not contest being transferred to the custody of authorities in Houston who are investigating them. I bet you're not going to contest it, even though we know Houston, Texas is a harsh state as far as laws and imprisonment. But I've heard that the prison system is not too kind down in Louisiana, so you possibly don't want your black ass locked up down there or doing prison time in a Louisiana prison. I don't care what they do. They could throw you in the ocean. They got all that water down there in Louisiana. What they should do is just drop you down there in Lake Pontchartrain. Just drop you on down there. Save the taxpayers any money. Trial. Just kindly pull up the police car, and throw both of your black asses over that damn bridge. Yeah, I'm saying that. And frankly, it won't be cruel and unusual punishment, because by the time you get that first gulp of water down your good throat, the rest is history. Nothing compared to what you've done to your children since birth up until the ages that they are now. Meanwhile, 7 underage children involved for now have been turned over to the care of Child Protective Services officials, according to reporting from multiple media outlets, including television news stations, KHOU in Houston and WBRZ in Baton Rouge. Police became aware of the children's plight after a 16-year-old boy and his twin sister ran door-to-door through the neighborhood in Cypress, Texas, just northwest of Houston, for roughly 30 minutes for someone to help them. Doorbell camera footage reportedly showed the boy and his sister both barefoot, shivering, while several neighbors, uncertain about what to do, told them to move along. The boy was shirtless and the girl wore a plastic grocery bag as a top, according to the court documents. Eventually, a woman opened the door, and once again, she said they were skinny, frail. Children told her they were locked in a laundry room while naked, except for zip ties around their ankles and handcuffs on their wrists. Investigators interviewed the children, who arrived a little time later, and they described how the caretakers would make them use the mop bucket with dirty water to shower, urinate, defecate on themselves when they needed to go to the bathroom. They had been subjected to other brutal physical abuse as well. Children were taken to a hospital, as I told you, in Katy, Texas, where they remained Thursday. A medical examination later revealed signs that the children had been starved and the boy had at least one healed bone fracture consistent with physical abuse. Now, I'd like to know which bone was that? Arm, leg, back? Guessing it doesn't really matter. The woman who took the victims in added that the children also recounted how sometimes their only meal in the day would be a sandwich. And as I told you earlier in the other content, relish sandwich, mustard sandwich, bologna sandwich. Not enough for anybody to survive with no nutrients such as vegetables, green leafy vegetables, beans. You need those type of things to eat to sustain you, to give you stamina. Most of you should know that there are adults in the chat. If they made any type of noise, they wouldn't be fed, said the woman, adding that their words provoked her tears of frustration, anger, and sadness. Investigators went to the home from where the twins ran. Duncan, 40, Terrell, 27. This is the younger black male that the mother was seeing, 13 years older than him. They were gone. So were the 5 other children between the ages of 7 and 14. So if these children ran out the house at 5 o'clock sneaking out, what time did she get up and realize that the boy and the girl were missing? How interesting. Soon as she saw that they were gone, she knew she was in trouble. She and the boyfriend. So they then packed up and ran back to Louisiana, from which they came. Interesting. Several hours later, state police troopers saw the car off the campus of Louisiana State University in Baton Rouge. Very interesting. They approached and arrested the couple. Only an 18-year-old was with them. Why? Why was that? Very interesting. Troopers later found the rest of the children at the home of a relative where Terrell and Duncan had dropped them off. This week was not the first time Duncan had been accused of abusing a child. As I told you 10 years ago, she was arrested on suspicion of child cruelty after one of her children showed up at an emergency room from school. I want to stop there. Why did you take the 18-year-old with you? I thought the children were 16, so that's a discrepancy in my live from yesterday. I said that the 16-year-olds were the oldest. Well, obviously not, because now the article says an 18-year-old was with them. So I don't know what's the truth here. Because when I read those ages off yesterday, I didn't recollect an 18-year-old being listed in those the age group of the boys. But that article I just read, you said an 18-year-old was in their custody. So excuse me for saying that the 16-year-olds were the oldest children. Some very strange information. I'm going to just go through this article. WBRZ 2ABC is the source. This is coming out of Baton Rouge. Once again, the children, Amber Alert was issued for the children ranging from 7 to 14. See, as you see, Amber Alert was put out for 7 to 14-year-olds. That's why I thought the 16-year-olds were the only older children she had. They were spotted in Harris County, and their car was spotted in Baton Rouge. So this is what's strange about this story. How many children does she actually have? Because here it says, Zakia Duncan and Jova Terrell were gone along with Duncan's 5 juvenile children. 5. You got to remember, 2 were already in Texas running around in the cold. Listen to what I'm saying now. That's why these articles are now making you wonder what the hell is really going on with this chick. If Amber Alert went out for 5 kids, and those 5 were found at a family member's house that she dropped off from Texas, 2 are running around in Texas, which led to this Amber Alert and the capture of she and the boyfriend. That's a total of 7. 5 was dropped off at a family member's house. 2 were running around in Texas in the neighborhood. That's your 7. Well, if there's an 18-year-old, then you're now talking about 8 children. The hell is going on? Dear God, help me. See, right here. I'm going to repeat it again. When law enforcement tracked down the house early Tuesday morning, the couple, Zakia Duncan and Jova Terrell, was gone, along with Duncan's 5 juvenile children. Authorities issued an Amber Alert for the missing kids who ranged from ages 7 to 14 in Harris County, and their car was spotted hours later in Baton Rouge. So therefore, 2 were left behind, twins. The 16-year-olds, they're the ones who escaped. 5 left with the mother on the run and later found with her and the boyfriend. No, excuse me. She took the 5 to a relative's house, but allegedly an 18-year-old was with her and the boyfriend in the car when they were pulled over near the university. So that makes 8 children. You can't make this stuff up. There's something very odd here. Let me go on to read you more pertaining to this by WBRZ2 News. After police stopped the suspect's car in a parking lot off of Nicholson Drive that afternoon, officers found only one of the missing kids. The pair said they had dropped the other 4 off with a relative, and Louisiana State Police said the other children were later found safe. So see, now it's rewording it to saying the other 4 were with the relative. So let's say 4 were with the relative. The one that was found with them was actually an adult child at the age of 18. I don't know. New pictures and video obtained Wednesday offer more insight to the squalor the children were living in the Texas home. The woman who took in the escaped sibling said the first thing they asked for was food. Teenage twins also had scarring on their wrists where they had tried to break free from their handcuffs. They were reportedly forced to live in a laundry room and made to drink their own urine, KTRK reports. They told me the details about what they endured, what their mom had put them through. The Good Samaritan said, the more I looked at them, the more I could see the abuse. Literally, they were just skin and bones. The twins are currently getting treatment at a hospital. Duncan and Terrell were both booked as fugitives in the East Baton Rouge jail and will be extradited to Texas to face charges. Duncan was previously arrested in East Baton Rouge more than a decade ago for abuse, ultimately pleading guilty in that case. Duncan and Terrell will stay in jail without bond until they can be taken back to Texas to face charges. The state of Louisiana has 30 days to extradite these clowns back. Let's chop it up, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Why was there an 18-year-old in their custody? Why did they decide to take the 18-year-old and not the other children? What is the state of the other children? These children that were found at this Good Samaritan's home said that the other twins were also abused by the mother and the boyfriend. In one statement, he said not as bad, I guess, as how they were treated, but abused nonetheless. So let's just go on record and say, hell, she abused all the damn children. You abused 4, you abused 3. What's the difference? I can't see her favoring any of her children. She is demented, this chick. One of these children, I believe it's the boy child, hid the key in his mouth, took it out of his mother's purse. So that means at some point they let the children out. So how often did they let the children out of their restraints, bondage, for him to steal the key out of her purse? Interesting. Their abuse obviously goes back to childhood, because you hear that she was arrested 10 years ago. So if we're to believe she has an 18-year-old, then we're going to track all the way back to if he's one of the abused as well, he got it at 8 years old. And that means the children under him were toddlers, school age to toddlers being abused. Why did DHS give this heathen her kids back? See, this is why I tell you all why you can't judge every story the same. Because a lot of you love to criticize DHS when you see in this case, the mother got a chance to get her children back after physically abusing a little boy and burning his damn feet. So why in the fuck would they give her kids back to her? And let's go on record and ask, how many kids does she actually have? Because who's the hell to say she has more children scattered somewhere? How old was she when she first started having children? Just asking. How old was she when she had her first child? You subtract 18 by 40, you get 22 years of age. I guess what I want to know is, how many kids does she have total that were either in her care or out of her care? And the first time she got knocked up was what age? Because this is obvious a case of abuse. The mother has obviously been abused herself, because children who wake up and grow up in fine homes and decent parents that are Christian and fine upbringings, and they teach their kids manners and teach them how to be self-sufficient, doing chores, keeping a clean home. I don't see you growing up doing this type of shenanigans with your children. This is outrageous here. There's no word to describe what these children went through. They're really lucky to be alive, because the body will eventually shut down after not getting enough water and nutrients. The body has to have something to sustain itself. That's common sense. Do the children have internal injuries? Since the mother was feeding them bleach, Lysol, spraying their mouth with kitchen cleaner, do they have internal injuries? Because how are you digesting bleach and Lysol, being fed Benadryl tablets, the boy having a seizure, And I also would like to know if these children are mentally challenged, any of her children. Because the average child would have run away at the chance of being free. Let's stay woke now. Because in order for us to believe that the children could not have ran away earlier, previously, which one did the day before, and she found them, tied them back up, then we have to ask throughout their livelihood, when they got back in her custody, why didn't some of these children run away? Is it perhaps that these children are mentally undeveloped and they didn't have the mental fortitude to say, I need to get out of here? But as we learned in the case I brought you months ago with the children in Texas, in Houston, that were living in the apartment with the dead brother, that older boy was 16 and mentally challenged, and he said, the hell with this, I'm out of here. And he got the hell out of there. He went and got help finally and told a neighbor, I believe, what was going on with him. And remember, a smell had been coming out of that place for a year from a dead corpse sleeping in another room, which was their brother. This is sickening. Benadryl given to the girl, 40 or so tablets or more given to the brother to make them go to sleep. The children could have died. Besides having a seizure, you could possibly die. You don't know what these drugs can do to you when you're taking them at a full capacity. That's why we have warning labels on medicine and over-the-counter medicine. This is a wicked, wicked female. The mother poured bleach on their skin and genitals. You can't even imagine. When they were little, one of them got his feet burned. Maybe she was putting fire under his feet or putting his feet on top of boiling water. I don't know how the feet got burned when they were children, but that's how she got to lose her children. One of them got sent to the hospital from school. DHS, what do you have to say now? Because you gave these kids back to her. You gave Zakia these children back. And let's talk about the boyfriend. What the fuck would possess you to abuse these kids? You're only a few years older than her grown child. She's got an older child that's 18 that was in the custody of you all when you all were apprehended. You're 27, so you're just 9 years older than her oldest child. The hell is wrong with you punching her other kid? Because this is not telling what you were doing with her children. Why would you do that? That's what I'd like to know. The hell is your malfunction that you felt like you had the right to be beating up somebody else's damn baby? But I got a feeling that where you're at, you're going to get a little funny game time as well as Zakia. How about that? And I ain't going to get mad if somebody decides to play Jesus up and there like what they did with Jeffrey Dahmer. Satan met an angel in jail. Do you understand what I'm saying? You reap what you sow. Because what would possess you to join in and beat this woman's kids? You shouldn't have even looked at her once you saw the state of her fucking children. And I'm curious to how she met you and how you two got tangled up. And she's already got young kids that she ain't taking care of properly. And then she's taking you in as a young man. So you're looking for a mommy figure and she's looking for a young boy. And like Chris Thorne said, ain't nobody tripping about nobody age difference. But this is diabolical that you would join in mistreating her children. She should have been of no interest to you. But then that means you are also tainted, that you would fool with a 40-year-old woman and then abuse her children alongside her. So that means you're jacked up too. So who the hell raised you? Who the hell mistreated you for you to go out now at 27 and go mess with somebody else's kids physically, verbally? And it's also obvious that Zakia was mentally and physically abused as a child. And I won't doubt that she possibly was sexually molested as a child too, because that's where all this hate comes from. I'm going to give it back to my kids because they did it to me. My mama was mean to me. My grandmama was mean to me. They were hard on me. They were rude to me. They were ignorant to me. They mistreated me. They touched me. So hell yeah, I'm going to give it back to mine. Well, I tell you what, Zakia. The state of Louisiana was kind enough to not give you years in prison and give you your children back. So that was a double sword where you still came out on top, have your freedom, and get your kids back, and you didn't learn a damn thing. And you're lucky that none of your children died, because then you'd be facing murder charges. And frankly, I think the state of Texas should charge you with attempted murder of your children. How about that? How about that? No more gross negligence and abuse of a child and all that old fancy wordings. Hell no. Attempted murder, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, ring them up. Because to intentionally starve a person, that is exactly what you're doing. You're hoping that they die. You just don't have the guts to strangle them, beat them to death, choke them out. It's a slow death. Everybody knows that. It's a slow death. Starving a person, putting them in a room, tying them up, not feeding them. And the heart rate becomes slow when you have no nutrients in your body. Did you all know that? You're going to start breathing funny. Belly is going to swell because there's nothing in there. Children's feet swelling from the abuse of push-ups, having the shackles on the feet. Everybody knows that when you sit in one position too long, your feet will swell. Ankles are going to swell. Kind of like when I do these lives and sit with my knees bent back. When I'm done, my feet have swollen because there's no circulation. You're not moving around. And these children are way more limber than the queen, but that's the whole point. The body is not equipped to stay in the same position hour for hour. I hadn't heard about the TikTok. What charges will she and this guy be charged with? I think they should be charged with attempted murder, personally. No more gross negligence and harming the child and all that old mess. Give it to him raw. She has a previous charge. She had a co-conspirator. Attempted murder. Because it was only a matter of time that one of these children were going to die. Because you're putting poison in her body with bleach and Lysol. You're starving them. They're not drinking water. They're not getting any vegetables. They're not getting any movement. Eventually, one of them was going to end up dead, or both of the older children. And then we hear that you are locking some of the younger children up, so it would have been the same game. This is horrific. And the fact that you all don't mind going back to Texas tells me a lot, because you don't want to go to jail down there in Louisiana. You don't want to stay down there because you know the conditions of jails and prisons down there in Louisiana. You know exactly what you were doing. Sure, we don't mind going back. I know you don't mind, because I hear it's not so nice down there in Louisiana. So hell yeah, go to Texas. Let's go back to Texas, because you were running from something in the first place when you went to Texas. And we're curious how you afforded that fancy house you're living in. I got a funny feeling you and that boy were involved in some fraud, illegal activity, stealing, theft, something. You came into some money some type of way to put down on that house. And as I told somebody, I doubt that somebody rented that house to her through Section 8. Could be. But a $500,000 house, $300,000, I doubt it. I would truly doubt that. But anything is possible. Prayers for all of the children. And as you heard the remaining children in Louisiana that were left at a relative's house, they're in the state's care. So why didn't you all let them stay with the relative? Because I guess you decided we're not going to get it wrong again. So this is what I keep trying to tell you all. Doesn't matter that somebody has a relative. They've got to be proven fit to take care of the children. And considering that these kids have been through the ringer and been abused all of their lives, they're not going to trust a relative to take care of them. We also know that terrible things also happen to children when they're in foster care. But it is what it is. They ain't leaving them with the relative. How about that? So where are the children's fathers? Do they have the same fathers? Father. Are there multiple fathers, or do all the children have the same father? They have multiple fathers. Where are they? I'm sure they've heard the good news about what's happened to their children. Were they in the lives of their children? Were they talking to Zakiya? Were they visiting their children? Well, we know they couldn't have been visiting because what stupid motherfucker would look at their kids underweight and not say any damn thing. So this heifer was trying to get off the grid. That's why she fled to Texas. She knew what she was doing because somebody was ringing a bell down there in Louisiana. Somebody probably didn't call. DHS possibly didn't reach out to her, came knocking on the door, sent letters. And that's why she fled to Texas. Because you see, she's good at running. She ran out that morning when she realized those twins were gone. Ding, 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 ding. What did Dr. Phil love to say? Past behavior is indicative of future behavior. She's a runner. Not necessarily a runaway bride, but she's a runner. And had a 27-year-old dum-dum with her. We will find out where the money was coming from. And that's a good question. And I've asked that yesterday during my live. What did she do for a living? What was her sole income? Was she hustling, selling drugs, selling herself, her body, prostituting, what? Defrauding people, what? Because in order to put money down on that house, you had to have some good income to secure a bank loan. Stay woke. What will be baffling if you find out she actually had a decent job and income and transferred up to Texas working a real fucking job. Now that would be the clincher there. That she had a real profession while starving her damn children, beating her children, and letting her boyfriend beat her children and watch her children starve. She had a real job, real career, hiding and masking behind hair weave and lace front wigs. People thinking she's a decent person, but she ain't. That's why I keep trying to tell you all, you don't know people. And now some of you are going to learn to stop judging people who actually let other people raise their children, give their children up for adoption, because how is this better? Keeping your children, but yet you're abusing them and making them eat fecal matter and urine. So this is what you think you should do to keep your children to prove, I'm a good mother. I kept my kids. Yeah, but you're abusing them. So you can't go out here and judge somebody who actually gave their child up. It takes a strong person to give their child up because you don't know their circumstances. Because this ain't right. This ain't right here. This ain't right. Thank you for joining me. Story number 2. This is a very baffling story coming out of Michigan, everybody. Ooh, Lordy. God help me. Try to load it up here. I don't know what's going on. "13 on your side, ABC News." This is the source pertaining to this storyline. If I can get it to come up. These articles, they'd hate to play properly. Addicted Mind. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Well, amazing Tiff. That's the thing about rearing children. You're not going to know if children are for you until you become a parent. You can dream your whole life. I want to be a mother. I want to be a father. But you may become a parent and realize it isn't for you. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody is not meant to raise children. It is a real job because you're dealing with a small personality. And you have to have a certain mindset to rear children. Because 9 times out of 10, you're taking how you were brought up when you rear a child. And if you were abused, if you care, you're going to try not to be like the people who abused you. You don't want to do it to these children, but you may end up doing it, not really wanting to. That's why you have to get control of yourself.
Family, they say they are concerned for the mental well-being of the father, Tony Cirigliano. Now, 13 on your side's Veronica Ortega joining us now from our newsroom with the very latest developments. Veronica.
Kirk, Tony, Suzette, Brandon, and Noah Cirigliano are still missing. No one has heard from the family since early Sunday, hours after a 911 call was placed. Investigators say since that time, their cell phones have been turned off. A day before their disappearance, Tony called 911 with concerns relating to the September 11th terror attacks.
Mr. Eating knows me. I'm a Christian. I just need some help, and then the U.S. government will take it from here. I know this sounds crazy.
Officers responded to the home, worried for Cirigliano's mental well-being. They talked to Suzette and made sure the boys were okay. But later, neighbors found Suzette's mother with dementia wandering the neighborhood and became worried. Now they're asking for a sign that the family is okay.
He was concerned about information he had regarding the September 11th issues or attacks on the country. My officers talked with him at length and just were concerned about his mental well-being.
Newaygo County and Michigan State Police are now helping with the search. Investigators say they believe the family was last seen in a silver Toyota Sienna with Michigan plate DJL 1982. If you have any information on the family's whereabouts, you're asked to contact the Fremont Police Department. We have several crews following this story, and we will provide updates on air and online at 13onyourside.com. Kirk.
All right, Veronica, thank you so much.
All right, everybody. 13 ABC is the source. I'm going to be bringing you a little bit of different content because each news outlet will have something different than another news outlet. The Cirigliano family is missing 2 autistic sons and a mother and a father. I'm assuming this is an Italian family. If not, I'll stand corrected. A family of 4 that has been missing since Sunday was spotted filling up their van in Michigan's Upper Peninsula Monday. Law enforcement said Friday. The Cirigliano family was last heard from on Sunday when family members said the father, Anthony, was acting paranoid. Friday afternoon, the Fremont Police Department said the family stopped at a BP gas station in Gulliver, Michigan on Monday between 10:40 a.m. and 10:55 a.m. Surveillance video shows Anthony, Suzette, Noah, and Brandon Cirigliano buying fuel and food. Fremont police said one of the children tried to use a gas station phone to place a call, but it appeared to not be successful. Now that's interesting because you rarely see phone booths. So did he ask for a phone inside of the store? Let me reread that. One of the children tried to use a gas station phone to place a call, but it appeared to not be successful. In this video, you'll see a picture of the mother and one of the sons inside of the store, and also the back of the van on the property, which shows the tag of the van. Authorities said the family is believed to have stayed in Iron Mountain between October 17th to October 19th. 13 on your side contacted gas station clerk Heidi Bonifield Bowler, who saw the family on Facebook Messenger. She says she has been inundated with phone calls from the media Friday morning and goes on to say, I'm kind of overwhelmed right now. All I want for their family members to know that all I want for their family members to know they were safe, and I'm not really sure what their story is. Just hope they return home. Here are the descriptions of each family member. Anthony John Cirigliano goes by the name of Tony. He's 51, 5'6", 180, brown hair, no facial hair, unknown clothing. Suzette Lee Cirigliano, 51, 5'9", 120, blonde hair, glasses, unknown clothing. Brandon Michael Cirigliano, 19, 5'8", 120, brown hair, brown eyes. And then there is Noah Alexander Cirigliano, 15 years of age, 5'6", 120, brown hair, brown eyes. Both Brandon and Noah have autism, authorities said. A 911 call said that Anthony Cirigliano placed hours before he and his family were last seen concerned law enforcement about his mental well-being. The family left behind their pets and a family member who requires full-time care. Police say their cell phones have been turned off. Police say they may be traveling in a silver 2005 Toyota Sienna with the registration number DJL 1982. I'll put that in the chat in case somebody sees this car. See this van, excuse me. Thank you all so much for joining me. I'll type this in as I speak. Hold on one second. DJL 1982. Okay. Both the boys, Noah and Brandon, were former students at Cornerstone Christian Academy. After attending the school for a few years, the students were homeschooled. The school administrator, Rebecca Meek, says the Cirigliano family were a great family. She says both Noah and Brandon were great students. When we called her to tell her they were spotted in the up, she said, praise the Lord. Meek tells 13 on your side she is so glad to hear the family has been spotted and is hopeful for a safe return. Once again, if you have any information pertaining to these 4 people, please call the Fremont Police Department at 231-924-2100 or 911. 13 ABC is the source for this information. Let's hear what the cops have to say about this storyline.
Yes, it does.
Chief of Police.
I am. No, Fremont.
Fremont. Not
Yeah,
Fremont.
not Freeport, no.
Can you tell me, do you have any updates on the on our family?
So the campaign that we've had working with the media and trying to get the message out about Tony, Suzette, and the boys has seemed to work. We had contact early this morning from a BP gas station manager who believed she had seen the family on Monday the 17th of October between 10:40 and 10:55. Since then, we've been able to obtain surveillance video and corroborated her belief, and we know at this point that Tony, Suzette, and the boys were in the gas station on Monday, October 17th.
In Gulliver, Michigan.
Gulliver, Gulliver.
Is that in Upper Peninsula?
It is. It's a small village along US 2 on the southern side of Michigan's Upper Peninsula.
Have you personally seen this video?
I have.
Did they look distressed? Did they look okay, happy, sad?
During the video, it looks like one of the boys attempted to use the gas station's telephone, but as far as distressed or any other issues, it's really ambiguous to that.
Did they buy gas? Did they get snacks, water? Did they buy a bunch of water, a bunch of food?
It looks like they filled or put gas into their minivan. So we do know that they are at that time were driving a 2005 Toyota Sienna minivan. They had made some other small purchases as well.
Is that minivan registered to them?
It is.
Okay, because we heard yesterday from neighbors that it wasn't a vehicle they usually drove.
They had 3 vehicles inside the home, and the two others have been accounted for.
Okay. Do you know? They wanted me to ask. Sorry. Did Anthony have a record in North Carolina? Do you know?
I have no knowledge of that.
Okay. Do you know what direction they were headed when they were over here?
They were headed eastbound. So US 2 in that area sort of follows that southern border. So when we say eastbound, they may have been going on the northeast, direction, but it was eastbound on US 2.
Got it. No indication of where they might be going yet?
None.
Is there any indicator in terms of the direction that they would be going? What the next potential places they would pass through?
So in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, this section of US 2 is between Manistee and what we'll call St. Ignace. It's a very rural area, and there's a lot of the national forest, and I would describe it as a very rural area of Michigan.
Okay. If we have something, for example, and stuff, so obviously the idea is being expected that into some spots or something, we need to look at that. Has the investigation yielded any reason why they would go to the UP? Are they frequenters of the UP, or is this something that's just secretly kind of out of the ordinary? I mean, just kind of what has been the idea of them going forward?
The investigation really tends us to believe that, both Tony and Susie just really spent their time taking care of their boys and taking care of the elderly grandmother. We don't know of them taking a lot of, trips other than maybe a day trip to, somewhere near Fremont. But we don't have evidence of camping. We don't have evidence of trips overnight in a hotel or any pattern of behavior like that.
Does this feel spontaneous?
It does.
To go such a considerable distance.
Yes, it does.
And the idea of them going eastbound or kind of northeast, I think that takes them deeper into the peninsula, right? That doesn't let them kind of come back down, or just getting that directional map, I guess.
You'd have to look on the map to really get it, but it brings you closer to the Mackinac Bridge, which we all know is the only entrance to Michigan's Lower Peninsula from the Upper Peninsula. So it would lead me to believe they were headed that way.
I'm so sorry about that. I have news for you after this, but your press release, I guess, is corrupted.
Oh, is it? That's not great.
They asked us if you could resend it.
Okay, I can do that.
Yes. No, sorry about that. Just kind of talking with us and getting that out there. Obviously, it has been beneficial, right?
It's been great. One of the reasons I think we all live in Western Michigan is just that sense of community and that sense of helping each other out. And I think the Cirigliano family needs help right now. And the working with all of your resources and your counterparts has really been beneficial to try and paint a better picture of what's going on here and to get a message out.
Is there anybody else see anything or any other tips you may have received?
We received, I would say, approximately a dozen more tips, but we just cannot corroborate anything else. And some of the tips would involve what I would describe as ambiguous information.
So this was one of your first good, solid, corroborated tips?
Correct. It was one of the ones where I could reach back and say I had video, and I've looked at the video myself and can verify it. Some of the other tips have included, a possible great SUV or a gray van in this, in this state or that state. And it's pretty ambiguous information.
Just how you still believe vans are there.
Right. When you start looking, you'll notice, they're everywhere.
Anything else we should have touched on? I was just going to ask you for the last thing, like just in terms of how this such a fast-moving investigation, especially when kind of like that. What is kind of your continued call to action as you reach kind of the height of it, and then as things start to develop? Like, what is just kind of your call to action to the community to like stay invested, stay involved, keep looking for these people? I just kind of wanted to hear from your side.
My view is we're asking the community just to help this family, and there's the Cirigliano family. From everything I can tell, is a very close family, and they're deeply concerned. And they have members of that family who live all around the country that are coming to Fremont because they are deeply concerned about everyone's well-being. I would ask that everybody in the community just continue the effort of letting us know when they see them and if they've heard from them. And lastly, if Tony and Susie can hear this, that they feel comfortable calling us and letting us know that they're okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right, everybody. 13. Let me chop up a little bit of what was said because I'm still going to play you a little more content pertaining to this family. Cirigliano is the family's name. Cirigliano. 2 adults, both 51. 2 boys are with them. Let me get their ages. A 19-year-old, which is Brandon Michael, and Noah Alexander, 15. Both have autism. Brandon and Noah. Let me chop up some of these things. Filled up a car. No knowledge of a criminal record pertaining to Mr. Anthony. Don't know where they're going. The area where they filled up is rural, national forest. They have not been known to take a lot of trips, renting hotels. The trip looks spontaneous. Close family. They are a close family, have family all over the United States, and they are coming to Fremont to see about this situation pertaining to this family. Suzette is the wife, and she has a mother with dementia who was living in the house. She was left behind. I will bring you commentary pertaining to that. And families has retrieved the mother that was left behind. As you heard in this news broadcast, she was wandering around. I don't know if I played that or not, but anyway, I'll go ahead and tell you now. The mother was wandering around. She obviously was able to unlock the door and go out of the door and was roaming the neighborhood, which alerted authorities that the family was not in the house. The mother's cell phone was left behind. Why? Why would you leave your cell phone behind? Did the father use a ruse to get everybody out of the house? We know that they are alive when they left the house because they're seen on surveillance walking around. The mother and one of the sons is in the store. But what's baffling is that one of the children tried to use the phone. Which son was that? The 19-year-old or the 15-year-old? See, you can't assume because someone has autism or a mental disability, they don't have enough sense to know they are possibly in danger. And you have to say to yourself, if one of these sons decided to pick up the phone in the store or ask, hey, can I use your phone? And maybe he was frantic and couldn't get his bearings together, couldn't make the call because they said something didn't go through with this call. That shows you one of the children realized, hey, this man ain't acting right. We got to get out of here. We need help. I wish one of the children had have told somebody in the store, I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe. Why did the mom leave her phone behind? As I said, was it deliberate? The mother looks frail herself in that photograph. Don't know if she's just a small frame person naturally. Don't know much about her. Pets were left behind in the house. Nice looking neighborhood. What's going on here? This man made a call to someone, officials, that he was having some issues with the government. He needs the government to come in and step in. They will understand the situation. So is this man schizophrenic? Does he have mental problems? Did people in the family know he was mentally disturbed, such as the wife? Ding, ding, ding. She should know first and foremost. But we have learned that schizophrenia is later diagnosed in many adults. Some people see the signs in people that they're not right. Some don't, or some just don't care. Were there signs that this man was mentally ill? Or is this a ruse to get his family out to harm them by suicide, murder? What's going on? Or are we talking about somebody, as I said, lucid, and they were tired of taking care of a family, no longer wanted to be a father and a husband? We've learned that it's a difficult task raising children who are autistic. 9 times out of 10, you'll still be taking care of these children as adults. Maybe he was tired of being a father to the children, the mother, the wife. They also had a grandmother there, which would be Suzette's mother. Do not know her age, but she had dementia. So imagine an elderly woman with dementia, 2 autistic children. God forbid if he wasn't meshing with his wife, he was tired, wanted out. This is his way to play crazy, drive these people off into the wilderness and execute them. Or are we just talking about a man that's just disturbed and he's now immersed his family into his spiraling mental illness? Are they alive? Cirigliano family. Prayers that they are alive. Oh, Lord, this is bad. Every day I bring you true crime of some sort. Abuse of children, neglect, murder, missing people, missing children. In the end, it's all the same. No matter the people, the demographic, the age, financial status, all of them are ill. And they're walking amongst us, perpetrating that they're well. And it is up to you as a human being to decide if you want to deal with these people or not. Sadly, many of us have dealt with them, continue to deal with them. Some of us are possibly not that well equipped upstairs either. Somebody could say the same for us, the ones that we think are well. But nonetheless, when you cross over to murder, that's a whole different situation. You're in a whole different league when you become a murderer. When you decide to think about murdering someone, plotting someone's death, you have left the realm of, okay, you're having a bad day. Like I said, we're all human, can have ugly, deviant thoughts, but it's the acting out on them is where the problem comes in. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $sign Big Angie, 129, Cash App, all stickers and chats are welcome. During this live, let's see what other kind of information we can get out of this story. Hold on, you guys. Nothing is acting right today. Oh, mercy. Hold on a minute. I got to get another device because this one's acting up. Thank you all for your time this Friday afternoon. Hope you all are well. Bringing you a little bit of information coming out of Texas, Louisiana, and now Michigan. Feel free to go back to the beginning of this live to get the said information pertaining to the teens that were found in Texas wandering the street. And they are now in a children's hospital in Katy. There's some strange stuff going on with these devices today. Very weird. All right, I want to bring you more information pertaining to this family. I don't know what is going on. All right, Mandy. I'm trying to play this content. It won't play for some weird reason. I don't know.
This is Anthony John Cirigliano, North Michigan Avenue in Fremont, Michigan, 49412. Okay, what's going on today? Yes, everyone is okay, but I need the Fremont Police Department, and I believe he is Captain Deating, John Deating. I need some police protection immediately.
Okay, for what?
It is of vital national interest. It is related to September 11th, and people want to erase me from the face of the earth. I'm not crazy. Mr. Deating knows me. I'm a Christian. I just need some help, and then the U.S. government will take it from here. I know this sounds crazy. You don't have instructions for this. Please send someone that knows Deating and can talk to U.S. authorities, please.
Okay. And do you have any weapons there?
No weapons at all, not even a BB gun.
All right. How do we spell your last name?
Sure. Cirigliano.
And your phone number?
We have no landline.
Okay.
Oh, wow. No
All right.
landline.
I'll over there for you at 823 North Michigan in Fremont, okay?
Interesting.
Can they come with the lights off and not to frighten my children, please?
Yep, definitely.
Okay, I'll look for them and knock on the door, and please try to send Mr. Deating, even if he has to be awoke from his sleep. It's that important, please.
Yep, he's on right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, bye.
Lord have mercy. What in the world was that about? National security pertaining to 9/11. Oh, Lordy, 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 Lordy. Oh, sorry.
Sunday morning. Just a short time ago, police shared what they do know. We have a team coverage from Fremont. They about to talk to the family's neighbors.
But we start with Micah Cho, who just spoke with police. Micah.
We talked with Fremont Police Chief Tim Rodwell, who says they're looking for parents Suzette and Anthony Cirigliano, as well as their two sons, Noah and Brandon. Now, Rodwell says that they received a call from Anthony Cirigliano on Sunday the 16th, where Anthony was concerned about info he had on 9/11. While officers talked with Anthony, they said that they had concerns about his mental health. The officers made sure that Anthony's wife and kids were okay before the officers left the house. On Monday, the 17th, Chief Rodwell says the family may have left the home between the hours of 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. with no indication of what direction they were heading. Chief Rodwell says they may be in a silver 2005 Toyota Sienna minivan with the plate numbers DJL 1982. Chief Rodwell explained to us that as of right now, they're not focusing on anyone as a suspect. They're just trying to find the Cirigliano family and bring them home safely.
Right now, we're looking at Tony, just trying to find them, and we're just concerned about him. We want to be able to help him, and hopefully he feels comfortable calling us and having a conversation with us. We want Tony to feel confident and Suzette to feel confident to call family members and let them know as well.
Chief Tim Rodwell adds that Suzette and the two boys left their home phones at home. Anthony may have his, but it may be turned off. Michigan State Police are also helping in this effort. Again, there's no word as to what direction they may be heading. If you have any information on the family's whereabouts, you're asked to call Fremont Police. For now, live in Fremont, Micah Cho, WZZM 13 on your side.
Now, friends and neighbors of the Cirigliano family are speaking out.
They say they've always been good people.
Nate Belch joins us now from the family's neighborhood with that part of our team coverage. Nate.
Yeah, guys, this is the neighborhood, and right behind me, the home of the Cirigliano family here in Fremont. You can see the police outside of the home right now. When we got here earlier, the police actually were not here, but there was a fire truck here as well. Also, we could see them attempting to enter the home, and eventually they did. So a little bit of activity here going on today. Now, we did speak with a couple neighbors here this afternoon right next door. Sue Schondelmeyer tells us that when she moved into the neighborhood, the Cirigliano family actually came over, introduced themselves, brought over cookies. She said they were always nice folks to live next door to. We talked to just down the street, Josh Brinkman. Josh tells us he's been a family friend of the Ciriglianos for a while. He just talked to Tony about a month and a half ago. He said their last conversation, a normal conversation, talking about buying ATVs, things like that. Josh says he hopes that the family gets in touch soon because an elderly grandmother was living in the home with him, and he says she is still looking for answers, just like everybody else.
If you choose not to come back, that's your guys' choice. I respect that. Just at least let the family know. Yeah, take care of grandma and let friends know.
That's Josh, neighbor, young boy speaking.
So as we were talking with Sue Schondelmeyer earlier, she also mentioned the silver minivan that the police mentioned to us. She said that was not typically the family's car that she saw them normally drive. She said she's only seen it here in the neighborhood once a couple weeks ago. Now, coming up at both 5:30 and 6, we'll hear more from both of the neighbors here talking about the family and everyone out here, again, just searching for answers just like the rest of us. But for right now, we're just going to send it back to the studio in Fremont. I'm Nate Belt.
Okay, we want to show you another look at a photo of these family members. This is the Cirigliano family. Anthony, Suzette, 19-year-old Brandon, 15-year-old Noah. Both sons have autism.
They were last seen in a 2005 Toyota Sienna minivan, similar to this one. The license plate is a Michigan registration DJL 1982.
And here are the three things we know right now. The family was last seen on Sunday. Police say the father, Anthony Cirigliano, was exhibiting paranoid behaviors. We also know the family's cell phones have been turned off. Our coverage of the breaking news continues throughout our 90 minutes and right now on 13onyourside.com.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to stop the information desk there. Hold on one second. I'm going to put something in the chat for my viewers that are in the Michigan area, Michigan State, because we do not know where these people are going. DJL 1982. If you see this tag on a gray minivan, please call the law officials immediately. Don't approach the car. Don't go try to talk to him. Just call 911. Thank you. We don't need any casualties. Any altercations, because we do not know the mindset of Mr. Cirigliano. We do not know if he's in imminent danger. Is he in imminent danger? Does he have information pertaining to 9/11? Has somebody threatened his family? Did he learn something from someone? Or is he having a psychotic meltdown? He has mental problems that haven't been diagnosed. Is he diagnosed with a mental illness? Does he have schizophrenia? Is he bipolar? What's wrong with Mr. Anthony? I do not know. But I find it interesting that the boys' cell phones were left behind. The mother's cell phone was left behind. They do not have a landline. Now, although they are the same age as the Queen, and I don't have one either, so I can't judge them, but I would think people with children, especially special needs, would possibly have a landline. And the fact that they also had an elderly mother there, Suzette's mother, you would have a landline too, just so you can always have an extra phone service. So have they ever had a landline? If they had one, when was the last time? They left pets behind. Neighbors have positive things to say about them. The lady next door says they were nice, welcomed her when she first moved there. No issues with the family, no criminal background related pertaining to the family members, parents. But what is interesting in this part of the content is that the van they're driving has not been seen often as the family car. So where is the family car? Is it inside of the garage? Because when you see this house, it is a standard house with 2 levels, with the garage is facing the street with a driveway in front of the garages. I'm sure you've seen many houses that are made this way here in the United States. It's not an elaborate home. It's a very simple home with a 2nd level. Small porch area, then door, 2-level home. Looks like a double garage that faces the street. How many cars do they own? Where is the car that they normally drive? Is it in the garage? Did he rent this van in hopes to leave his life behind? Because someone says in this article, this car was seen weeks ago, but it is not the car that they drive. So where did this van come from? Did he purchase the van or did he rent the van? Did he borrow the van? Is the van in his custody now? Where are they? Are they all together? Are they all alive? Is this a suicide homicide mission to off his family, get this van because it's not the car that they normally drive, get off somewhere where nobody can find them into the wilderness, rural area, and then kill the kid's mother and himself? Or is this a man who's lucid, tired of being bothered with being a father, husband, caretakers of autistic children, and a mother-in-law, and took these people off to off them? And I say all this because these things do happen. It is not to put Mr. Anthony in a bad light, but I don't know him. I don't know his wife. I don't know his financial circumstances. I don't know his mental situation. I don't know anything about him. But I do find this bit of information interesting, that this car had not been seen as the car that they drive. So as I said, how many cars do they have? Do they have only one car? They have a close family all around the United States. They are coming in to see about this situation. The mother has been taken in by family members, the one that was left behind, wandering the streets, wandering the neighborhood. And that is very dangerous for a person with dementia to be wandering around unsupervised. Anything could have happened to the elderly lady. And by the grace of God, she is safe. But this is also going to be a tricky situation in who's going to be orchestrating the family dynamic from here on out. Who's going to be running things at the house, making sure that things are being taken care of until they locate this family. And that can become a very tumultuous situation. People could start bickering and arguing. Did they leave a will? So you have to think about all that in case these people do not survive. There's death. Did they have a will? Did the wife have a will? Did the husband have a will? Do they have life insurance policies on themselves and the children? Because this is when people will come in to start arguing on who's going to take care of what, who's going to get what, in case there is deaths involved. Who will bury the people in case these people don't come back alive? So you have to ask all those questions. And it's not trying to be premature, but I think about all these things because I know when it comes to money, finances, property, this is how people fall out. This is how people fall out. Trying to handle people's estates. And a lot of people today are no longer speaking to family members because of family issues and wills and death, sadly. And I hope these people will be able to get along to come to a resolution as far as, who's going to stay at the house, pay bills or whatever may be owed in order to keep, who knows, a light bill could be due, a gas bill could be due. You still want to have lights and things on in his house because you don't know the circumstances of where they are. But I know that in times like this is when people can bicker and disagree and it can escalate. Because people are frantic, they don't know what's going on. Then you start throwing out accusations of who did what, who's crazy, who ain't crazy, why somebody did something when we don't really know anything. But what will the family tell us about these people? Will somebody come forward to tell us there's more to this story than just 4 people in a van riding around the state of Michigan? Will we find out that perhaps the father is mentally ill? He's been ill, and somebody pushed it on the rug thinking he'll be all right. And we've learned this with many people, that there are always signs that something was amiss in a person's life. The way they talk, the way they carried themselves, their conversation. We've learned this with many people who ended up deceased from suicide, that there were always signs. They stopped talking. They stopped calling people. They stopped coming out. They stopped engaging. They told people they were not happy with themselves, their financial situation, their mate, whatever, and then boom, they killed themselves. What is the situation here? I do not know. But I'm just throwing out possible scenarios that possibly this man is mentally ill, may have voices telling him that he's in danger, his life is at stake, he has information. You have no idea. And I don't know him to say either way. But I would pray that law enforcement finds these 4 individuals and bring them home safely. And if indeed they are all alive and we learn that the father has some mental issues, that he gets adequate care. If you see something, say something. Be a part of the solution and not the problem. Mind the children. This has been a crazy week here in the dirty South, and I'm sure many places in the U.S. So many things going on with missing people, children. Prayers for Quentin Simon, that he is recovered out of that landfill in Savannah, Georgia. Prayers for justice, that his mother and all constituents are brought to justice for aiding, abetting, knowledge thereof, in between, around, in the death of baby Q. Prayers for this family in Michigan. Prayers for 7 children belonging to this Jekiah Duncan. Prayers for any children going into foster care. Prayers for the children who are coming out of foster care, that they can sustain themselves, get adequate housing, help, schooling, to have a better life. There's an article circulating here in Knoxville pertaining to children sleeping in DHS offices here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Please check out that said information, because we have heard of children sleeping in the DHS office in Nashville recently, and now that situation is occurring here where I live. Praying for all the stories I've brought, because these are real people with real feelings. And one thing I've learned in life, flawed and all, that you have to treat people accordingly, and you have to respect people, and you treat people the way you want to be treated. And you should know that one day, if you don't treat people correctly, that karma will come back to you. because the universe has to get it back. And that's one thing many of us don't accept and realize. Is that you can't go out here mistreating people, hurting people, harming people, and think you are going to keep walking the earth and not get retribution. The retribution will come home. It has to come home. Because I don't think God wants you to continue to walk around being favored and knowing you're out here hurting and harming people. You have to learn a lesson. It may take a while, but you have to learn a lesson. Thank you all so much for joining me. God bless all of you. Please have a safe weekend. Be safe out here traveling. If you're going to any football games, Tennessee's playing Georgia tomorrow. Go Vols. Go Rocky Top. Thank you all so much for your time and your patience. Please be safe out there. Thank you all in the chat. Red, Mandy, Tracy. Thank you all so much for following the content. God bless all of you. This is Everyday Shenanigans. You all be safe out there. Thank you so much.